also say is we've got 60 minutes together. So I'm going to share with you just one strategy today. And this is one of the hundreds that we use in the programs that we offer, the ways of working program that we offer. Trust me, you're going to learn this one. You are going to want to know more. So I will share with you an opportunity to work with me a bit more, a bit deeper after this masterclass is over. And also, there's another incredible reason to stay, which is we're going to be we're going to be announcing at the end of the session from the people who are here today, a free 2-hour group coaching workshop for you and your team to go through one of our 40 something ways of working modules. We'll come online, we'll have a phone call with you, we'll work out what's the biggest challenge in your team right now, and I'll come and deliver that for you myself. That's worth about $2,500 of value, and I really wanted to give one of those away. So stick around, and whoever is here at the end will be the people who are entitled to be part of the draw. If you leave beforehand, unfortunately you miss out, but there are plenty of other bonuses that we're going to be sharing with you during the course of today. Just in case that hasn't convinced you that you probably do want to stick around and share some of the things that we are going to talk about today, I want to just pop this slide up on the screen. Thanks to Jimmy, my business has tripled in revenue and doubled in size in the last few years. His toolkit's never ending, and I have no hesitation in recommending him. In fact, I have several times. Now, Ewan is a client I've been working with for nearly 5 years now. He started off with a little tiny construction business, 5 people. And I think maybe 5 or 8 people. Now he's nearly 45 people. And his business grows year on year on year. And as his business grows, the challenges shift, the challenges change, and he needs some more support in various areas. So why am I telling you that? It's because the stuff we share works if you're a small business, a medium business. We also work with enormous clients who have hundreds of thousands of employees. The key thing here is this stuff works. So before I go any further, what I'd like to understand is what is your biggest leadership challenge right now? We've got some options for you, which we're going to put in a poll, which should pop up on your screen. Please just take a second to vote there. But what is your biggest leadership challenge? Is it that you have a whole lot of stuff going on, too many priorities? Is it that you haven't got enough time to get everything done? Is it that you're too busy solving your team's issues? Or is it that you want to be strategic and you're struggling to do that, but you feel like you've got to be in the detail all the time? Just choose one and vote now, please. Amazing. Last 5 seconds. Cool, cool. All right. So we've got a pretty good spread there. It seems like for most of us, it is not enough time to get everything done. Or I want to be strategic, but I'm stuck down in the detail. And these are 2 really common problems. In fact, all 4 of them are very common problems. But it's interesting, we've got a really nice split between the two primary ones there. I haven't got enough time to get everything done. I just wish I had more time. I need 50 hours in a day to get everything done. Or I want to be strategic, but I keep getting dragged down into the detail. And we'll talk about both of those a little bit further on. What I can say is the stuff we're sharing with you, I mentioned it does work. The people who work through our programs end up with a significant increase in the productivity. If you just take what we share with you today and go back to your office, go back to your computer, go back to your team and do some of the stuff that we recommend, then you can get productivity increases like this. If you listen and you're on also doing emails at the same time today, and your head is in 4 places, and you do nothing with what we share, you won't unlock any extra productivity, I promise. So do make sure you're dialing in and paying attention. Equally, if you want that in performance improvement, you've got to listen, learn, and do. You can't just listen and learn. The best laid plans are the ones that you actually implement. So let's try and get some action. And what I can say is, again, we're chasing this magical 6 hours. So I've never seen anybody who has not done something with the stuff we use unlock less time. We want more time for you. So that's the goal here today. I'm just going to share this because for some of you, you may be like, "That's cool. I've had enough. I'm in. Let's do more work together. Let's sign up together. Let's do some stuff." So I'm not going to go into detail on this now, but I would just like your permission to share with you what it is that we're working towards and what it is we're kind of teasing here, without it feeling seedy, without it feeling like a slimy sales pitch. Nobody likes a slimy sales pitch, so I'm going to put it out in the open. And what we've got here is, at the end of today's session, you'll be able to register for a 6-week experience. We're calling it the Global Leadership Mastermind. Basically, become part of this incredible community of senior managers who are done with busy work, who are done with having too much to do, and want to learn some new moves, some new playbooks that are going to actually make a difference. So if you've heard enough already and you're in and you wanted to get more information about it, there's a QR code on the screen. You can use your phone and grab the data now. I will share it again at the end with a little bit more detail. But I wanted just to share that because some people are like, I just need the snippet. Give me the Cliff's Notes. I'm good to go. Let's get into this. There it is for you. I'm not going to waste time on it though, as I mentioned. Let's just think a little bit though about maybe some 3 things that you might want to note as we're going through here. The first of which is, you probably already discovered I'm kind of not like most leadership trainers, and I have some. Yes, I'm excited about what I do, but this isn't generic management stuff. This is the stuff that I've built up over the last 20 years, derived from military tactics, working with an incredible team who have Formula One experience, who have, there's got some more people arriving in late. Let me just let those in. Who've got some Formula One experience, who've got military experience, who've got aeronautical experience. So this stuff is derived from, high tempo, high pressure environments, and there's no room for fluff. You need stuff that actually works. Equally, these strategies will work regardless of your job title, your industry, the vertical you're in, because they're based on, universal principles of communication, of interaction, and on building trust and connection with the people around you, and focus and impact on the tasks that you're involved in. So it doesn't matter what level of the business you're at, this stuff we know works. Equally, if you are a senior manager and you don't have a strategy like this in place for focusing and creating impact, chances are life is pretty hectic. Probably why you're here. There's not enough time in the day. And I want to be strategic, but I can't because there's too much stuff dragging me down. The reality is that a lot of that is based on skill set. It's based on what you are using right now in your little management toolbox that maybe isn't working in the new context, the new environment that you operate in. And I'll be honest with you, I've not met one successful leader who is at the top of their game who doesn't use a version of what we're going to teach today. So I encourage you to pay attention. Equally, if you're not a senior manager, if you're further down the organization in a mid or junior management role, you're still in the right place. This is for senior managers, but think about what you can do right now. You can learn some tips that senior managers are dialing into that are going to accelerate you past your peers, because they're going to reach the limits of their management toolbox and you're going to have some new skills. So again, stick around, let's do it. So generally, I tend to come across 3 types of senior managers in the work that I do. And I'd love for you to pop in the chat. If one of these is like, oh my God, yes, that's me, just pop in the chat, me, because I would love to see our little distribution here. So let's take a look at our first one. Our first one is our delivery junkies. These are people who are fueled by getting stuff done. I would use a stronger word, but it's by getting stuff done. So they're the people like, I'm in my desk early, I'm in all the meetings, I make sure there's everything that I know all the detail, I'm across everything. I make sure that each day I've got a checklist of stuff to do and I get it ticked off before I leave. My inbox is always empty by the end of the week. And you know what? I am driven by delivery. If that's you, pop me in the chat. And I can tell you now, you're fueled by this incredible drug. This drug is called dopamine, and it's released by your brain as a little reward for the chase for getting things done. So, and actually, it's the same chemical family as heroin. It's an opiate drug, which is why it's so addictive. It's why you're addicted to delivery. And the reality is, it's quite hard to give up being addicted to something. In fact, we know what addiction does to people, right? Initially, it's quite fun. You get some good hits and you feel good about stuff. But when you're chasing in more and more and more and more of it, gradually you need that drug to survive. gradually it wears you down because the only thing you focus on is where can I get my next hit? And the reality is for a lot of our delivery junkies is they're getting pretty tired now because as you step up into a senior management role, you can't do everything, but you're still going to try because you want your little hit. So the key for you is to use the framework we're going to teach you in a few minutes to start shifting the way you think about delivery, to start shifting the way that you get involved in everything. Because we want to not have you burn out. We want to keep you delivering, but delivering in a more effective senior manager, impactful way. So we've got a couple of me's in there. Great to see that you're here. I'm guessing this was on your to-do list today, so I'm thrilled that you managed to make it and you can tick off our webinar. Equally, let's think about using the content today. Second one, we've got our imposters. And again, if this sounds like you, put me in the chat. Our imposters are driven by fear. If I don't do it, I might get found out. If I don't do it, people will think I'm incompetent. If I don't do it, people might think I'm not up to the job. Somebody will tell me off. Somebody will criticize me behind my back. You're driven by this fantastic chemical called cortisol. Cortisol is the fight or flight hormone. It's the one that shuts down, unfortunately, shuts down this piece of your brain here, the prefrontal cortex, and activates a little piece at the back of your brain here called the amygdala. And the amygdala is I'm really good at harvesting energy to fight off a saber-toothed tiger. But unfortunately, there's not many saber-toothed tigers in the modern workplace. Some of you may disagree with me. You may have some bosses who look like saber-toothed tigers or certainly act like them. But the reality is cortisol is not a helpful hormone or chemical in your bloodstream for you trying to be a really effective senior manager. So if you're struggling with this imposter syndrome where you're like, if I don't show up and deliver and be the expert and be the number one knowledge person, maybe I'll get found out. Then potentially you're sitting in the imposter zone and you're doing too much. You're driving yourself into the ground because you're driven by fear. So if that's like you, pop me in the chat. Our third type of leader that we tend to come across are our superheroes. Superheroes are wonderful for saving the day. And I can imagine that some of you will be superheroes. Some of you may know superheroes. If this sounds like you, pop me in the chat. Superheroes are the ones that, I like to just let my team get on with it. They're capable people. Oh my God, something's gone wrong. I need to swoop in and save the day. Or this is a really high stakes client meeting. I'm going to make sure I take the lead on this one. Or perhaps the CEO has called me into his office and said, Jimmy, this is a really, really important project. You need to make sure that this gets done. And I feel like I need to open up my shirt, get my badge of honor out and get in there and deliver. Equally, superheroes like to be recognized and rewarded because they are the best at saving the day, the best at stepping in. Unfortunately, if you're a superhero, often, many of the times you're swooping in to save the day, you're either taking away an opportunity from your team to deliver and step up and grow, or you're relying on old skills that you maybe could let go of right now. Or importantly, you're not anticipating some of the things that need to be done early enough, and so they require you to step in and save the day. And again, I know many leaders who they're so busy doing the doing that they miss the signals, the little signs of the things that need to be fixed. And then suddenly things blow out of control and they have to don their cape and their badge and swoop in and sort things out. Also, these can be known as firefighters. Richard, yes, absolutely. You can be two for these. What we see is generally you tend to be more like one, but equally you might have a mixture of all three. You could be somebody who's absolutely focused on delivery and a little bit driven by fear, and you like to save the day. There's no wrong answers here. What I think it's important to understand is that all of these different types of leaders are going to struggle to go further in their career, are going to struggle to be super impactful because you're limiting and holding yourself back with old skill sets. So the real question here is, how much are you suffering, struggling, burning yourself out, working non-stop to save the day or to swoop in or to deal with things when actually it's these things that are precisely the items that are holding you back? And maybe you didn't even realize that till now. Maybe you thought you were doing great work by delivering all the time. Or you thought if you were the expert and you kept driving yourself harder and harder, nobody would notice that there was a problem. or maybe that superheroes are great because you always get recognized and rewarded for fixing things. But that's not going to take you where you want to go. So how is that a good solution? That's the reality of the question we want to know. So I mentioned that you might be working with this old skill set, and I wanted to share with you an idea that I'm hoping will kind of put this into context. When I was a younger man, I used to do a lot of hill walking, mountain climbing with my military friends. And some of the mountains that we would climb would be more than a 1 day climb. So you would set off, maybe on a Friday afternoon from the bus stop or the minibus stop or the car park or wherever it was. You'd walk out, you'd camp overnight, you'd walk the next day, you'd camp overnight, and you'd summit on the Sunday. And then it would be basically a trot down the hill back to a car park or a pickup point. And I kind of came up with this idea of our careers are much the same. You start in a car park, you start somewhere relatively flat and easy, your individual contributor role. And over time, you walk to the maybe one of the initial campsites, and you start to pick up skills and techniques and knowledge. You start to pack things that you know you're going to need for the duration of your journey. And these are where we start to move into our management skills. You go maybe on a training course and they give you some more things to put in your backpack. Here's delegation, and here's prioritization, and here's communication, and all these manager skills that you need, and your backpack starts to fill up. But as we know with mountains, it starts to get a little bit steeper, and it's quite heavy carrying all those manager things as you go up the hill. Now, when I was in the military, the night before the summit, often we would repack. So you would get to that final kind of base camp, you would empty out your backpack, you would leave all the things behind that you didn't need to summit, and you would maybe add in some extra things. So if you were going above the snow line, maybe you'd add in some crampons and some ropes. If you were going super high, maybe you'd add in some oxygen tanks. But to make space for that, you had to take some stuff out. You had to take some things out your backpack that you didn't need for the summit. Your career as a leader is exactly the same. You've walked in from the car park, you're now at this base camp, and you've got this very heavy backpack full of stuff, but not all of it is needed to get to the summit. If you want to move into C-suite roles, into executive roles, or you want to even just change the way you're leading from being a really good manager to being a really great senior manager, you've got to take your backpack off and empty out some of those management skills to make some space for some new leadership skills to come in. And I really want you to pay attention to that, because all the things you've had up until now have worked great until now. But we've got to make a change if we're going to go further. If we're going to hit the summit tomorrow morning, you need some new leadership skills. And the reality is managers are paid to get stuff done. Managers are paid to get stuff done. You get checklists, and your job is on KPIs and delivery and making sure that everything you do is absolutely precise. You might be using outdated tools and equipment. You could be using a checklist. If you've got a checklist, chances are you're still thinking like a manager. You may have graduated one step beyond that. You might now have something like sorry about that. You might now have something like a urgent important matrix. Some of us maybe have seen that before. Our urgent important matrix tends to end up with everything in the top right hand corner. Everything's urgent and everything's important, and we can't get rid of everything. So maybe those tools are not going to work for you. So we need something different, right? Because at the end of the day, as a senior manager, you're paid to get the right things done. You could do lots of things. There are probably lots of things to do. Most of you said there's not enough time in the day to do all the things I need to do. But equally, you need a solution that really works. And I like to think of this as a recipe that you can follow. So I do recommend you take scribble some notes or note some stuff down as we go through this, because have you ever tried to remember all the steps of a recipe for baking something, and you kind of get mixed up and you're like, was it 300 grams or 400 grams of that? Or should I stir it for 5 minutes and put it in for 10 minutes? Or is it stir it for 10 minutes and bake it for five? I don't know. I can't remember. So if you want to get this right, I recommend scribbling something down. Oh, and just a side note, why am I even talking about this? Why do I know anything about this? Well, I can tell you this was me in 2016. I was a GM running a team of people working in a global role. and my day started at about 6 a.m. I'd wake up, quickly grab some breakfast, normally down a couple of bottles of Coke Zero to fuel me with caffeine, to try and shake. And I'd normally chase that with a couple of Nurofen and a couple of paracetamol to get rid of the hangover from the night before, because I've been drinking to try and slow my brain down a little bit. Rush to work. First meeting started at 7, straight through till 7 p.m. every single day. 5 days a week. On the weekends, I'd normally be traveling to one of our global markets. So on a plane up to China, up to Japan, up to the US. I was living in New Zealand at the time. And life was pretty tough. I didn't stop for lunch. I would just eat on the go, or I'd have my PA bring me a sandwich or a sushi or something, and I'd just eat in a meeting or eat on the fly. Living on takeaways, living on junk food, get home, keep working through the night. Normally get to bed about 2 a.m. After I'd done everything I needed to do to catch up on the day. And then the process would start again at 6. Now, I don't tell you that to be boastful. I tell you that because I really do know what I'm talking about when it comes to burning out. I did it spectacularly in 2016. Equally, I've worked out how to fix it. So this is me now. I get to live this glorious life in Mexico, traveling frequently where I want to, delivering stuff like this. It's the most fun I can have in a day, is sharing ideas like this. But it's because I've worked out how to be more impactful and more focused than just working all the time, because that doesn't work. And it's allowed me to create resources like this that you can have access to. You know, a couple of books we've got published now. We've got a top 5% podcast that runs. We've got an AI chatbot that's a leadership coach that you can get access to. And they're all built with the knowledge that I gained from doing it wrong in my corporate career. And sitting and thinking to myself, how did I get that so wrong? And how can I learn and share this with other people? And so that's why I'm here today, is because I genuinely understand what you're going through and I really want to help you fix it. And the strategy that I'm going to teach you is designed to significantly increase your performance. Because at the end of the day, this is not fluffy stuff. This is about money and numbers and the bottom line and your time and not burning out. And there's only 3 simple tactics that are in this strategy that you need. So let's get into it and share it. And I'll say the last one is definitely one to pay attention to out of these 3. But I can tell you now, when my client George implemented what I shared, there was a big shift for him. He was a workaholic. And the thing for him was not having to work on the weekends so he could see his family. And actually, he made it to one of his daughter's concerts, which is the first time he'd ever managed to do anything family focused in as long as he could remember. So the goal here is to get you getting your life back, because when you get your life back, when you get your headspace back, the reality is everything else starts to click into place. You know, there are plenty of high performance coaches out there. There are plenty of people who can teach you Olympic athlete techniques and gold medal sprints and goal setting and all these things. You know, that's great. But if you haven't got enough hours in the day to do anything they're suggesting, then it's irrelevant. What we do is we basically remove the friction from your day. We remove the bits that are holding you back so you can do the things that are going to drive you forward. And this is the type of stuff we're talking about. Now, I put 15 minutes here because I didn't want to overpromise. In fact, I'd rather underpromise and deliver more. I know that once you've learned this technique, you can do it in 5 minutes a day. But initially, it might take you 15. I'm going to promise you that there'll be 15 minutes well spent. And I recommend that what I'm about to teach you, you do at the end of the day in preparation for the day tomorrow, in preparation for tomorrow. Because if you try and do it at the start of the day is already started and you're already into it. And you've probably already looked at your emails and you've probably already got, oh my God, I've got so much to do today. So I recommend trying to do this in the evenings. But let's take a look at it and see the basics of this strategy. So the first piece of our strategy, in fact, let me go back one step. The strategy we're going to teach you is very, very simple. It's based on 3 letters, PVC. And if you can grasp each of these 3 letters and get it into your head, we're going to give you a tool straight after this that you can do it with your team. So let's take a look at the strategy first. So our first letter then is purpose. P stands for purpose. Now, the biggest misconception for most leaders is I need to be across everything. And you're probably right. You do need to know all the things that are going on in your team. And as a senior manager, chances are you've got teams of managers reporting into you who have stuff going on in their teams. Your job is not to manage their team. Your job is to make sure they are managing their teams and to make sure that your leadership team, your team of managers, are doing the right things. Now, that's going to probably stand in contrast to everything that got you promoted. Maybe what got you promoted was I was in all the detail, I knew everything, I solved everything, I was the expert in everything, and I had my finger on the pulse of absolutely everything. And it made you successful. It's great. It was a really great management toolkit. But let's go back to our backpack. This is one of the things we need to let go of, is the need to be across everything. Trust the people who work for you and give them accountability and responsibility to do their job, because your job has changed. You now need to seriously pay attention to the purpose of you being involved in the things that you do. Because life is full of distractions. Life is full of distractions. And in order to get traction, which gives you the most effective action, you've got to let go of some stuff. And the first thing to let go of is being involved in everything. So we're going to have a quick vote. Let's use our chat again on Zoom. Why is it that you feel the need to be involved in everything? Is it because you like doing it? You really enjoy having your finger on the pulse and knowing what's going on, and everything's really, really connected for you? Is it that it makes you feel safe to be involved in everything? If I know about it, chances are it can't go wrong. If I know about it, the ball won't get dropped or the plate won't fall off the pole, or whatever the analogy is that we're trying to use here. Is it maybe because you were the expert, you were the best salesperson, the best programmer, the best financier? You were recognized for being super skilled in that space. So it's a nice place for you to play because it feels safe. Or is it because you kind of really don't know what else you should be doing other than being involved in everything because that's the only thing you've ever been taught to do? Just quickly vote in the chat. Is it A, B, C, or D? Oh, and we've got a couple of people with a mixture, and that's completely fine as well. Awesome. So we've got a mixture coming through. Most of us seem to have a D in there. Not really sure what else I should be doing. What should I be doing? What do senior managers do differently to managers? Well, we're going to share some stuff. The reality is none of these are good reasons to be involved in everything, just so you know. They're distractors. They are distractors. And they keep you as the hamster on the wheel. They're the ones that mean you haven't got enough hours in a day because you're trying to do too many things. They're the ones that mean you want to be strategic, but you're down in the weeds, doing the doing, saving the day, being the expert, being the delivery, the over delivery achiever, being the one who's the imposter, who's like, if I don't do it, I can't trust that it's going to get done. All of those are choices that you're making to overload yourself, to keep you as the hamster on the wheel. And I can tell you, as a senior manager, there's always going to be more things that need doing than you can do. So we've got to be involved in the important stuff and aware of the rest. So we've got to ask some key questions of ourselves. Number one is, why are we even doing this? Why is this being done? What's the purpose of this happening at all? And I can share with you an example of this. When I picked up my first senior manager role back in 2013, 2014, I joined a team, and one member of the team would spend 2 days a month building a report that was sent out to the business. 2 days a month. So that was about 10% of her monthly activity was on this one report. It was a very long report. It was about 15 pages long, spreadsheets and graphs and stuff. And it was useless. Nobody read it. I used to go around the business and say, have you received our report? Oh yeah, I get it, but I don't read it because it's always wrong. The data's always wrong. It's inaccurate. It's out of date. I keep my own report anyway. So I question the purpose of us doing this. And there'll be many activities in your team where if you really dig deep, half your team don't even know why they're doing things. Maybe because we've always done it that way. Maybe because the person I took over from told me I had to do it, but I didn't really understand why. Or maybe because they're really clear on the purpose. But if you start with purpose, why are we doing this? What is it? What's the purpose of it even happening at all? I guarantee you can stop doing some stuff. We stopped doing that report the week after I started asking these questions. Nobody complained. Not one person emailed to say, hey, where's that report you used to do? And what I did was I asked that member of the team to create a better version of the report that could be generated with a macro that was the press of a button, that would be accurate and would be useful and was on one page. It took her 2 weeks to get it done, 2 lots of 2 days. But when it was done, we just had to click a button and it went out. And the reports were that it was very useful all of a sudden because it was on one page, it was easy to read, it was short. So what's the purpose of us doing this? We're doing this massive amount of work. Why? The second question on purpose is, why am I involved in it? Is it because of one of these reasons? Because if it is, you need to seriously question why you're involved. Equally, if you do need to be involved, then we need to take it to the next step. But I guarantee you, if you just start looking at all the things you do, first of all, there'll be things you do that are completely pointless. I guarantee your team doing the same. And the easiest way to define that is to get in a room with your team and go, let's list all the things we do. Do we know exactly why we do all these things? And the second one is, do I actually need to be involved, or do I need to be an informed party? Trusting my managers to tell me that everything is okay, trusting or creating a series of questions that help me feel safe that I know they're actually happening. But unless you do those things, you're going to have too much on your plate. Our second area then of our little triangle here is value. So V stands for value. And we mentioned that there are some stuff that there's no purpose to doing, and there's some stuff that you absolutely need to be involved in. But we want to try and narrow that list again. Because as I mentioned, most of us have an urgent important matrix or a checklist, and everything is urgent and everything is important. And you're right, it probably is. And the reality is that in the VUCA workplaces that we operate in nowadays, we're processing about 4 times as much data in a week as our parents did in a month. So you can imagine, the speed of operation is significantly faster to even when you started your career. Chances are, if you're a senior manager, you've been in your career for 10 to 35 years. And things are different to when we started out. Very different. When I started work, email was not a thing. We didn't have email. Like, a few people had email, but not very many. Maybe the really big bosses. But now we get thousands of emails a day. So the key piece for value here is your job is to lead where it really matters and to not be involved where it doesn't matter, not to try and do everything. And so then the question is, well, how do I decide which one I need to do? How do we assess the value? And I recommend this, and this is what we share with all of our clients, is you focus on impact. Impact to the business, impact to the team, impact to me. And notice I start with the business, the team, and then me. I'm not quite sure how to help you with that. Oh, thank you, Alexa. The reality is you need to try and look at of all the things I've got to do, which is the one that's going to move the dial the most? And choose that thing or those things. Because let me give you an example. Is you involved in checking the copyright for the web page, or redoing social posts for your marketing team, or updating the website, or ordering stationery for the office? Are they super impactful? Or is it more impactful to be building the strategy with your team, spending time one-on-one coaching the managers that work for you, checking in and making sure that the right things are getting done? You can decide. You need to decide on your particular role, where is the most impact going to come from. But in my experience, what I've seen is ordering stationery is far less impactful than maybe defining the direction of travel for the next 12 months, or re-communicating the strategy to everybody in the team, or spending that one-on-one time. So choose your impact, do some comparison. Maybe if I do this or do this, and then choose. You cannot do it all. So you've got to choose the right things. What we recommend here is taking a notebook and pen, leaving your laptop behind, leaving your phone behind, and going off somewhere else for 20 to 40 minutes a week and going, what is the most impactful thing for me to deliver this week and next week? Or the most impactful 3 things. We also recommend you do this every night. What's the most important thing for me to do tomorrow? The most impactful thing for me to do tomorrow? Because you need to think about it. Otherwise, you become the ship with no rudder and no sail that's victim to the tides and the winds. Could you just, and I have an emergency, or I need something saving. If you're always in reactive mode, you're never going to be an impactful senior leader. So focus on your impact. Focus on identifying the tasks that have the greatest value to moving the organization, your team, and yourself forward. That's absolutely critical. And make sure you choose. You will not be able to do everything every day, and I'll tell you a story about that in a second. What I can share with you, though, is a little story with a very large American retail business that we worked with a few years back, working on their executive transition program. So this is people moving from senior manager to executive role. And we suggested in the program that they utilized this technique that I've just told you. Take your notebook and pen, go off for 20 to 40 minutes and write down the 3 most impactful things for this week and the 3 most impactful things for next week. Do that every week. And we got a split of the participants. First of all, and these are very, very busy people, right? These are people who have maybe 3.5 to 5,000 people working for them. They get a couple of thousand emails a day. And the reality is they are extremely busy. So the reality is they needed something that just works, something simple and quick. So we gave them this tool, 20 to 40 minutes once a week, no laptop, no pen, no laptop, no phone, just disappear off and have a think. And the group split themselves into kind of 3 separate segments. The first group, okay, yep, I'm open to that. I'll give it a go. I am really busy, but I'll give it a crack. Second group, yeah, I don't think I can squeeze that in. Do you know? I'll try, but realistically, I've got a couple of thousand emails and a day full of meetings, so I can't ring fence the time for that. Third group, do you know how busy we are? There's no way we can do that. Don't be ridiculous. How stupid. And we said, fine, look, this is a tool that we know works. Take it away. 12 months later, end of the program. The group that were assessed based on their performance over the year and their potential for the next executive role. So they've transitioned into their first executive role. Have they got potential to go further? Can they run a country? Can they run a business? Could they run a channel? Very interesting correlation with the results. The leaders that said, don't be stupid. There's no way that we can take 20 to 40 minutes a week and ring fence that because we're just too busy. No way. Don't be idiot. That's just stupid. We're so busy. More than half of those leaders didn't even make it to the end of the program. And the ones that did make it to the end of the program were in the bottom quadrant for performance and potential. So these guys are probably maxed out. They're not going to go much beyond this because they're still thinking like managers. The middle group had kind of split. Half of them are going, yeah, look, I tried, but I'm too busy, I can't. Again, many of those didn't make it and they were in the bottom quadrant. The ones that said, look, I've heard other people are doing this, I've heard it's working, they were nearer the top of the quadrant. And then our final group were the ones that said, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to commit to this 20 to 40 minutes a week with a notebook. I'm just going to go. I'm going to go and sit in one of the stores. I'll go and sit in a cafe. I'll go somewhere else. And they were outperforming everybody because they were inserting their effort where it really mattered. They were putting their energy where it had the most impact. So I encourage you, which group are you going to be? Group A, I'm going to give this a go. Group B, maybe, but I'll see if I can find time. Or C, don't be stupid, Jimmy, it's not going to happen. Pop in the chat for me now. Which one are you? A, B, or C? Good stuff. Amazing. We've got some A's in the crew. I'm pleased about that because if we didn't have, I'd kind of be in trouble right now, wouldn't I? A all the way. Love it, Paul. Thank you so much. Okay, so we've done purpose. Should you be involved? Is there any point in doing this? Value. What's the most impactful tasks that you can actually put your energy into and get rid of the rest? And let's talk about that now, because the reality is you do not have capacity to do everything. You would need 55,000 hours a week to do everything on your to-do list. And I'm probably you're finding this now, right? It's just too much to do. I can't get it all in. And the only way I can do it is working evenings, working weekends. And you know what? I'm exhausted. I just hang on, trying to get through each week and hope that next week will be better. And how many senior managers do I talk to on a weekly basis? Like, look, I've just got to get through this quarter. I've just got to get through, and I've got a vacation booked in a couple of weeks. And yeah, I'm just going to try and recharge then. But I'll probably be working on my vacation to catch up on the things that I needed to do. And so the vacation is also wasted time. How many of you are thinking like that? Because the reality is probably most of us on this call. So you've got to manage your capacity. That's the third piece of our model. And the biggest misconception for most senior managers is, well, I've just been told I have to make it work, or I believe I have to make it work. You know, there's nobody else. The buck stops with me. Yeah, you're right. But how often are you working late, working weekends, and nobody even cares? There's no thank you at the end of it. There's no reward at the end of it. You're grinding yourself into nothing. And I can think back to the times when I was a senior manager and I would work a whole weekend to get something ready and I'd give it to the GM in the morning, like, cool, yeah, just leave that over there. And they wouldn't even read it because it wasn't a priority for them. You made it a priority for you and you exhausted yourself trying to deliver it and they don't even care. And that it happens too often. So we need to start managing our capacity and not burning all of our own time, but going, okay, well, where can I allocate this in my team? Where can I bring somebody else into the fold that doesn't chew up all my time and energy? And the reality is, if you've got a team of people who are like, I can't delegate anything to any of my team because they're all overloaded as well. My goodness, do you need this masterclass? And my goodness, do you need the bonus we're going to be sharing in a couple of minutes? Because that means you've all got too many things on and you all not assessing purpose and value effectively. And I want to tell you another story about a seminar that I was in with this same retail client. And we had an executive from Amazon come in to do a seminar. And this is a very, very senior executive at Amazon, not Jeff Bezos, but a couple of layers down from him. And he said, look, on a daily basis, I get about 4,000 emails. Normally, of those 4,000 emails, about 200 of them are emergencies and crises. And normally, I can kind of deal with 3. And I just have to be kind of okay with the fact that the others just don't get done, or I've got to give them to somebody else to do because I can't do them. And you need to be okay with that. And I just saw this light bulb go on with all of these executives in this room, new executives in the room, new senior leaders going, oh my God, okay, so this is normal for us to just have too many things and not to get through it. And the reality is, yes, the biggest mistake you can make is trying to do it all. Because actually all you do by trying to do it all is burn yourself out, exhaust yourself, do everything substandard because you're knackered, the decision-making quality is down, your brain is tired, you're operating on cortisol and dopamine, you're in this addiction cycle that you can't break. And when all of that starts to happen, your productivity actually dips. There's some great research that shows every 40 minutes you work without a break in the day, your productivity dips between 6 and 10%. So by the end of the day, you're kind of 40 to 60% down on your peak capability. And the mistake we make is, oh, I'll just keep working later and longer. Well, yeah, you could, or there might be a different way. You have to be okay with not everything being ticked off the list. And to say, if you're still working to a tick list, then you're still thinking like a manager. Let's start thinking about our purpose and our value list. I mentioned George earlier on. George was so overloaded, and the only thing he focused on was his capacity. Where is my capacity at? Am I working above my 80% or below my 80%? Do I know what the signs and signals are of my 80% max? And as soon as I start to see those signals, I know I'm overloaded and I know I've got to start spending more time thinking about purpose and value. But he just said, where is my capacity at? And I mentioned he changed his entire working style. And I know that we're all being asked to do more with less, more often. So this is probably the most important technique to learn, tactic to learn, because this is the one that's going to come into question every single day, right? Is how do you do more with less more often and manage your capacity at the same time? And the reality is you've got to do some sorting. You've got to do some task sorting. You've checked, should we even be doing this? What's the purpose of it? Should I even be involved in it? What's the value of doing these things? Is it high value or low value? So we've got some data that we can start to use. So we need to start allocating tasks. Maybe it's a green light. Yes, I do need to be involved in this. Yes, it is a high value task. If I create this pricing structure, if I build this strategy, if I commit this 10 minutes per week to every single one of the managers who works for me, that is going to really move the dial. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to block my diary out with those high value, high purpose tasks. The second one is I'm going to have some orange or amber tasks, which still need to get done. You know, they are important, but maybe you don't need to be involved in them, or maybe they're not quite as high value as you previously thought they were. So it's okay, well, can I do this slower? Can I do this later? Or can somebody else do it? Can I train somebody? Can I empower somebody? And part of our ways of working program is around how do I empower really effectively using a very simple framework. But it's the stuff that I'm going to keep my eye on closely, or I'm going to still be involved in, but not at the same urgency tempo as the other stuff. And then we've got our red tasks, which are, I don't have capacity for this. You know, the only way I can make capacity is to work longer and harder. And that's not the right answer. I know this because Jimmy told me and we all agreed that that's not the right thing to do. So I've got to not do it, stop doing it, talk to the person who needs it and get rid of it, or give it to somebody else. And again, senior managers, it's not about doing everything. It's about doing the things that really matter. So that means you're going to have to learn to say no. Now, I mean, that's the model. That's the PVC model. It's very simple, as you can probably see. Is it easy? That's up to you. That's how you decide to use it. But what I can tell you is the leaders who actually use this really, really genuinely see the difference. And, you know, we've shared with you some ideas, some concepts and frameworks. What I also want to make sure you have, though, is something you can use with your team, because it's great that you've got this, but we want to be generous. We want to give away more value than out of this masterclass. And hey, I went to this thing for 60 minutes and I came away with something for me. So we've created this little book, and again, it's like a recipe book. It's got, let's clarify the why as a team. You could print this out and use this in a team meeting. It would take you about half an hour to 40 minutes to get through. Wow, are you going to get some incredible data from your team out of this? What's the purpose of us doing this? It tells you what questions to ask. It tells you how to run the activity. It tells you, it even gives you access to some blogs that you can read that talk all about purpose. We're going to talk about value, and then we give you all the questions to ask. We give you the forms to fill in. Everything is there for you. It's super easy. And this is what we give away in every single program that we offer. This type of value is available for you. And if you're, what about if the team are not aligned? Well, here's some stuff on how to deal with that and what you can do. And then finally, for those people who are ADHD like me, here's the one-page version of the whole thing. So you've got access to some stuff here that you could take these concepts, the purpose, value, capacity model, back to your team and work with them on, can we do this as a team activity? Can I get some better insight into who's overloaded, who's a bottleneck, where are the things we're doing we don't see the point in? Because at the end of the day, again, as a senior leader, you don't need to be in all the detail. Get your team to tell you the detail. Get your team to inform you of the detail. Your job is to make decisions. We need to stop doing this. We need to slow this down. We need to focus here and communicate it really effectively. Great question from Glenn. What's the most effective way to say no? Glenn, I think I've got a blog, which I'll try and dig out and send to you. But we've got I can't remember off the top of my head, there's 5 or 6 different things you can do to say no. No, not now. No, not yet. No, need more information. No, not me. There's different methodologies that you can use, which don't turn you into the no monster, but actually they add value, or they give an alternative route, or they can give you some suggestions. So I'll see if I can dig that out and I'll send it across to you. Remind me, if I could ask you just to drop me an email, just to remind me, because I have the brain power of a dead cricket today. So hopefully that will help. So question time. You've got these three elements of the strategy. How much of an impact do you think focusing on even one of them is going to make to your energy and your performance? Is this going to make a difference to you? I hope so, because I know it's made a difference to other people. Here we've got just 3 testimonials from people who've been using this framework actively for a little while. Nicola, this has been a game change for me. It's too simple, right? This is stupidly simple. I just sit down for 15, 20 minutes once a day and do this. And when I get good at it, 5 minutes. And I realized I was just super distracted by trivia and was involved in things I shouldn't even be involved in. But because I hadn't stopped to think about it, I never thought about it. Nicola was, really great client to work with, finance business, and she got her life back. Darnell got recognized, was one of our core clients, got recognized for another promotion 6 months after he first got promoted because he started using PVC. Because suddenly he started focusing on what was actually needed. And you might find as a senior manager that you're rushing around trying to do all these things, and your boss is just going, wow, that person's really inefficient because they're so busy all the time. And they're not actually delivering the 3 things I really need. So Darnell started focusing on that, and he got that extra promotion and career development steps. And then Carl was a semi-pro athlete. So he's used to like putting the hours in and grinding hard. And for him, he was like, things I have now got back after using PVC: clarity of mind, time for my family, my life, and the ability to work out. Carl was ballooning. He was much like me, eating sausage rolls and drinking wine and Coke. And he started to use PVC and he got his life back. So if you want any of those things, then I recommend giving this a go. And we've all committed to being in Group A, so I know you're going to give it a go. You might also go, well, cool, that's one strategy, but I've got loads of other things that I need help with. If you do, then there's an opportunity to get access to this through masterclasses, through our WOW program, Ways of Working High Performance Team program. And this is just one of 100 and something strategies that we've got access to. But I do want to just take a couple of minutes before we go to Q&A, just to share with you a little bit about this mastermind that I talked about earlier, because I think if you've enjoyed the content of today and you want to be part of some conversations about stuff like this, then this is where you want to go, because what we're creating is a 6-week experience for managers who are just done with the busy work stuff. They're done with being the hamster on the wheel and they want to do something else. My goal is to really make you clearer and more confident on what should I even be doing as a senior manager? What's the difference? And how do I get clear on that? Get your time and energy back. Get really confident, because we're going to actually war game and practice and contextualize stuff for your team and your business before you go back and do it. So you get to ask as many Q&A as you want. We want conversations happening about this stuff. And to give you some new leadership behaviors, again, empty out the backpack, start putting some new stuff in that's going to take you to the next layer of your career. And this is Greg, one of our other clients. He said, if you're too busy to invest in strategic thinking, GLM is exactly what you need. GLM is Global Leadership Mastermind. It's about cutting through the distractions that keep you stuck. And basically what we're offering is these group mastermind sessions, these conversations, not like this, not like a webinar. It's a workshop. We're in it together. We're doing it together, full of these incredible people who are all committed to doing a better job, who are open and generous and sharing with each other. We've got an incredible team behind me of people who are community managers and social media people, leadership experts, high performance experts, some incredible people to come in. And we've also got guest speakers available that are going to come in and talk to us about things like change leadership and strategy and all sorts of stuff. We're also going to offer you some one-on-one deep dives, depending on which package you take. You can get between 1 and 6 one-on-one strategy sessions where we work with you on your team to help you be a better leader. We've got some incredible resources that you can dip into whenever you need them. An incredible library called the Knowledge Oasis, which is full of podcasts and webinars and previous recordings of masterclasses and white papers and blogs that it grows all the time. You get access to this. An amazing transformational retreat in Mexico, which I'm honestly the most excited about, probably about anything in my entire life. 4 days focused on the whole you. Come to Mexico, learn how to be a better leader, but also get IV therapy, get psychology treatments, get medical treatment, get leadership workshops for 2 full days and then go and do some diving or swimming with dolphins or sailing or play golf on a world-class golf course. Like, this is about the whole you. So when you go back, you've had a day of preparation, 2 days of really hardcore leadership development, and a day to let it all sink in before you go back to your emails. And if that sounds like something you're interested in, then there's no commitment today. All we're saying is, if you're interested, it's 3 installments of $749, or you can save $103 if you pay in full. And all you need to do is just scan a QR code and we'll put you on the wait list. People who come to this masterclass will be at the top of the wait list. And we'll send you more information, more data, more communications on how to get involved and what you need to do if you want to be part of this, because we're only accepting maximum 15 people into this mastermind. But if you're interested, scan the QR code, get your name on the list, and let us send you some more information. If you can't scan the QR code, you can see the URL at the bottom, jimmyburroughes.com/GLM24. Very simple. And I say no commitment today. Equally, if you want, you can just take what I've taught you and head off and do it. And I do recommend you do that. I recommend you use it. And it is pretty simple, but it's not easy. So if you need that support, because the stakes are high, right? If you get this wrong, chances are it could be career limiting. Chances are it could cause more work trying to fix it. So if you want some support through this journey, then jimmyburrows.com/GLM24. Get access to people who are just like you, who are going on the same journey, and you can talk to them. And I'm not precious about whether you talk to them in the workshops or outside the workshops. And for those of you who've had access to WOW community activities before, this is, we want you to be talking with each other. Nobody ever said investing in themselves was a bad idea, right? So if you want to make that real shift, if you're really serious about this and getting out of the grind, using strategies like PVC, but getting more and more of these that you can use for different circumstances. Now, how do I deal with people who keep bringing me problems? How do I prioritize better? How do I make sure that I've got time to do the really important stuff? How do I influence across the business when I'm not in charge of that person? How do I deal with the executives? These are the questions that start to wrangle, right? If you're really serious about that, then GLM is for you. So recap, lots of masterminds, lots of support, lots of activity, lots of deep dives, resources at the yin yang for 3 installments of $749. Or if you want to save some money, you can pay in full up front. So there's the code. I'm going to go to Q&A. I'll leave that up for a few more seconds in case anybody does want to scan. And I genuinely encourage you to say no commitment today. We're not trying to sell you anything. This is not about sales. This is about, if it works for you and it works for us, come join the community. We'd love to have the right people involved to help a group of 15 of you move forward in a really meaningful way. So, oh, one last thing I forgot. We need to announce our winner. So let us do, I've got the participant list here next to me. Let me just open that up. And okay, let me just press a little button. And Abri Venter. Abri, can you hear us? Do you want to unmute yourself?
Yes, surely, or can you? Yeah.
Abri, amazing. Well, congratulations. What I'll do is myself or one of the team will reach out to you in the next few hours, and we'll line up a call with you to just explain to you a little bit more about how this works. But essentially, we're going to give you 2 hours of workshop time with me, focusing on a topic that your team really needs to solve, or a challenge that your team really needs to solve. And we'll make sure that we can book that in for a date and a time that works for you. Sound good?
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you very much.
Amazing. Well, congratulations. So let's go to Q&A. So if you've got a question, please do pop it in the chat and we'll answer them. I see some other questions that have come up, so I will answer those while giving people time to pop other questions in. So Brian, I consistently get overburdened with tasks, notably training, to the point that I get tunnel vision and lose track of high priority items. I'm struggling to train my new hire to the point where it's self-sufficient for the most part. What's the way I can overcome this quickly? Good question. From the work that we do, often training is done as an aside from doing. So I think shadowing is a really great way to accelerate this. And also noting that some of the people who you're training will have some initial skills, maybe some basic skills, but can you preload content? So instead of you doing training, could you give the basics of video, some content that up front that doesn't require you to be doing the doing? You record it once, you're using it 50 times with your next 50 hires, and then taking them into that context and shadowing and working with them to do problem solving in the moment, because people actually learn by solving problems, not by learning content. So give them videos of content. There's some great platforms you can use. Loom, there's some SOP, like how I do stuff on the computer, SOP softwares. If you want, again, send me an email. I'll send you a list of anything that we use that allows us to essentially front load content, so learning speeds up because they can digest it in their own time. And then when they're with you, they're solving problems, asking questions, and doing it and shadowing you. Hope that helps.
Awesome. Thank you.
Ba, ba, ba. Okay. Denise had a question, I think. I'm just trying to see. Oh no, I think Denise answered the question, so that's good. That's good. Amazing. Well, if anybody's got any questions, please do stick around. Other than that, really grateful for you sparing an hour of your busy time to come and learn how to be less busy. I hope that has been helpful for you. I'll be around for the next 10 minutes online. If anybody's interested to chat, here to chat. Other than that, Abri, congratulations again, and speak to you soon. Look forward to seeing some of your names on the mastermind list for GLM. Speak soon. Nikki.
Jimmy, thank you. Great class.
Say again, sorry?
Class, thank you.
Oh, you're most welcome. Let me stop focus so I can bring you in. There we go. How are you? You good?
Doing good.
Very busy?
I signed
What was that, sorry?
up for the link for the
Ah, super cool. Well, we'll look forward to sending you some more information, more data, and I'll catch up with you in the near future, I'm sure.
thank you.
I'm headed back to Cabo tomorrow for 48 hours, so I'll take a look.
I saw that you like, oh my.
Indeed. See you later.
Bye.
Bye. Abri, still there? Abri, can you hear me? Just unmute yourself. Okay. Well, speak to you all soon.